All right. Well, we said it was going to be a packed weekend, and we mean it. So today, gentlemen, today, ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by LaFlash and for the first time, Mr. Jake. Gentlemen, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, start off.
Hey, how you doing? I'm LaFlash, founder and owner of MilsimUnits.com, among a couple other endeavors. Uh, Thanks for having me on.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Jake. I am the sole developer of MilsimUnits.com, and I'm happy to be here tonight.
So, Flash, I know this is your second time, but this is actually your first time coming in as one of the head honchos for MU. So, and we may have talked about this in the last stream when we came out as 3ID, but for those who haven't seen it, and I guess clarity of context, can you just walk us through what is Milsim Units? Like,
Oh, well, I would say uh, it's first and foremost a what's the best words to put it in? A categorized group of units, but really it's kind of like an a la carte. When we're building the whole idea, it was all about getting units on board onto the platform, because ultimately it's a recruitment hub is really what it's all about. It makes it easy for unit to put their profile and create a profile that's free to create. It's free to advertise yourself on the platform itself. But then the whole gambit of the whole thing is to be able to turn around and then draw people that are looking. It's really built 100% about people looking for a unit, right? That's our first go-to avenue of somebody coming in. Hey, I wanna play Hell Let Loose, and they'd be able to go to the Hell Let Loose section of that website and see all these units that play Hell Let Loose. And then they can do some of the filterings that we have and really narrow it down by their time zone, their availability, the region that they play, the game style that that unit plays. So there's a lot more in depth in being able to find, but it's all about a person coming into the website, into the platform, and finding hopefully a group of guys, girls, people to game with. And I think that's huge. And obviously, the genre is Milsim. It's a first really FPS type shooters. You won't find Fortnite, you won't find Minecraft type stuff on our website. It's more or less the military simulation FPS, these games that require some teamwork to play. And the thing is, like, if they pick like Hell Let Loose or Reforger or Battlefield and anything like that, if when you have a good team, it makes that gaming experience hella fun. So really, it's all about just getting that communities together. And like I said in the beginning, it's that chicken and the egg. When we first started, we needed to market to units to jump on, because if we were turning around and then marketing for individuals to come look for their forever unit, the next unit, and we had 10 groups on there, it really is not impactful, right? Well, now we're rounding over 1,000 some units on the platform since our launch, which actually beginning of February here will be the end of our second year. We'll be starting our third, so we'll be hitting our 2 year anniversary as a group or as a community and a platform.
all right, Jake, I want actually, yeah, I could spin around back to this one after Jake's answer. Jake, going into the whole development and maintaining of uh, the Milsim Units website, what are the challenges that you find to be are more constant and like how do I put it? What challenges do you find when it comes to maintaining the Milsim Units website and other features? Because granted, this I would assume that the there's like an influx of different units, different members, and whatnot coming into like registering with the website. Is it hectic at times, or is it more kind of even when it comes to that?
Well, I would say that the biggest challenge is being a differentiator, right? So, coming into this project, there was a project or two that existed that had similar goals, but they just seemed to kind of rest on their laurels. You know, there was no progressive improvements or things like that. So, kind of what we aim to do is listen to the community and hear them and incorporate things that are requested. So, the biggest challenge then becomes hearing one side of the community and trying to implement what they would like to see without disrupting the other side of the communities. Um, so, on that, you know, you got people who have very specific opinions about the way that it should be run that would benefit them in the best way. And obviously, we want to try to benefit everybody to the maximum capacity. However, there are certain things that would create a differential that is not okay with the way that we want to run things. For example, there is a large disconnect between large units and small units, right? Large units, they want to be able to show their dominion and uh, be the dominant presence, as they well deserve because they're a large unit and they have done the legwork to become a large unit. But what we really want to try to offer is a equal opportunity for all units, small, large, or whatever, that really, you know, if they are willing to put in the effort, then they will have a spot and a voice and really be able to advertise themselves. So as far as technical differentiations, all of those things come together in the background as far as how can I technically make this work for everyone, if that makes sense.
Right. Pretty much like a piece that everyone can at least like agree on. Something that can work for Team A can also work for B, C, D, and whatnot.
100%.
So
And to add on to that, I mean, the when building out the platform, I mean, we had to, which just comes into like some of our subscription perks and things like that, that you know are built to benefit the smaller units, because obviously it's a recruitment hub, right? As I mentioned, the whole point is a centralized, you know, one online platform specifically for Milsim community. So it's that centralized hub for Milsims to manage their kind of their profile, their structure, and their operational I guess foundation across all the games that we support, like Arma, Squad, any tactical shooter along those lines. So it's built to, with the volt multipliers and things like that. Of course, they're available to everybody, but it's the small units that are looking to become a large unit is really where those units are like, okay, I want to grow, I want to develop and bring more people on board. How do I do that? The the days of going and posting on a Discord, recruitment clan recruitment area, it doesn't take long for you to post your message. In 5 minutes you look back and your message is 30 threads up, because of everybody else that's posting right behind you. And of course a lot of those you only can post once a day or once every 6 hours or whatever. So it becomes difficult for these units to bring new people in because they're missing that visibility, they're missing that exposure. And that's kind of that niche that we're trying to fill is, hey, come, you can have a profile on our website. It's on that games page, and then your votes matter because you can have every single soldier in your unit and plus some go and vote for your profile to move that up the rankings, so that your unit is more visible to people coming in. We have 35 to 40,000 visitors a month that come to our website, whether that's for the voting side, the looking side, looking for a unit, stuff like that. That really, that's the whole benefit of getting your whole community involved behind the voting aspect of Milsim Units, even as a free profile. We have several units that don't pay a dime. The whole point is not to really tote the subscription side of Milsim Units. That's just if you want. Here's a quicker way to get up there. But there's a lot of those large units, like Jake said, really don't need it, right? They don't need to get out. They're already known well. They have obviously recruitment avenues that's worked for them because they're a large unit already. So where we cater to is those medium to small that are looking to grow, that need that extra push, that needs that extra visibility to be able to get on the website and be in the top five rankings on their game page or something like that. So the whole point is that public facing page that really showcases that unit's identity. I mean, you get into your history, the games you play, your recruitment status, your server integrations, your recruitment tools, and really just builds that credibility and transparency to that unit so that people can see, right? See, what I kind of call window lickers, those that come in and they're going to check out a couple units. They're going to open a couple and see what each unit has. And then sooner or later, something inside that profile is going to spark them, whether that's their availability to play is it matches what that person can play, or something that looks cool within that unit's profile, whether that's their custom, like their video, their YouTube video that every unit can post a YouTube video on their profile that showcases them if they made one, to the additional details to where they can draw out their entire history, their structure, and all that stuff. Really just helps them bring some legitimacy to that unit when people are viewing them.
All right. Uh, Now this is kind of a question I wanted to turn back to. What was the initial spark that lit this idea?
Well, that
That'd
would
be a
would
great, yeah.
yeah.
LaFlash, I'll let you take that one because it's obviously your brainchild
Uh,
there.
um, so it was that I kind of mentioned it already to where recruitment. I've been on this before with the Third ID, which is a unit that was founded in 2003. Um, so we've been around a little while. We're coming up on year 23, and
Jesus.
I mean, it's all about recruitment, right? To remain relevant within the gaming community, and obviously, if you don't have any bodies coming in, um, your unit goes down pretty quickly, especially then if you have poor leadership and zero financing to support that unit. So when you're thinking of the reason why behind the whole thing was because we were there. We were the ones posting on those Discord boards and putting our recruitment ad in a Discord or on the Steam discussion board. And there's thousands of shit. Realistically, 100%. We have that thousand on our disc or on our platform already, and there's still thousands that aren't registered. So there's literally probably tens of thousands of groups out there across the milsim genre, and your post goes nowhere, right? Nobody sees it. Nobody's going to scroll um, down or up on that Discord board and see that, oh yeah, this unit looks cool. Definitely when you're 700th place on that list, and that kind of what spawned the thought of, okay, as Jake mentioned earlier, that we had some competitors. I'll be um, a little humble and say we blew them out of the water since we came into the scene. That wasn't our intent, but obviously that's a good goal. And being able to then take that and build off of it, right? We see what they did and we took it and kind of made it better. Nothing we do, this whole platform, there's nothing proprietary about it, right? If you can go find yourself a Jake, like I did, to be able to understand my brain on what I want. And there's been lots of conversation over the last couple years with Jake on, hey, is this possible? Is this doable? And he's like, well, give me some time. I gotta see on the coding side. Oh yeah, that's doable. That's doable. And then we're into the weeds on the creating it, the beta testing, like all that stuff. And Jake can go into full detail on what he has to go through working with me. But so that's kind of what drew the whole thing together. Was I wanted a better recruitment hub for my own unit, but then also thinking full spectrum of milsim and in general for FPS shooters is every unit I've operated with over the last 20 years within the unit are in the same boat, and it's all about them trying to come in and find a way to recruit, find a way to draw. Well, guess what? We made a hub that the recruits come to us. It's not us try to go to the recruits anymore, right? The recruits come to us and look through this a la carte that fits their needs, because that's also big. Like if a unit takes on somebody that they search them out because of their time zone matches their play style matches what they want, their availability on when they run their operations and campaigns and stuff like that matches them. That's going to be outside of a poorly run unit or poor leadership. That's a lot of the check marks when somebody's looking for a unit that is going to keep them in that unit a long time outside of like leadership issues, and that I can't fix, not yet anyway. Give me time. But that's kind of the whole mindset of what drew me to think of Milsim units. It's been something in my brain for easily the half a decade, and finally just being able to link up with Jake to start the initial build, which I would say was probably what 22. I think we first started talking on a lot of this, 2022, 23 maybe, because we launched the first website in February of 24. So I'm gonna say it probably took us a full year and a half to get our first version of stuff going and ironed out. But
How long
yeah,
do you think it'll
quite a
be
lot.
before we see the Milsim Units coffee cups?
Well, if you
Merch
want
is
to
on the way.
sponsor those, it could be tomorrow.
Just get one. Just get
One
one of those.
side mills, one
One side filled with this.
yeah,
Just get one of
one
those.
side will have the MNNU logo and the other's the MU logo.
Just get one of those little tin coffee cups and just embroider it with the Milsim Units.
I got a
That's
problem
funny.
with those tin coffee cups because you pour coffee in them and they're too hot to hold, too hot to drink.
Well, if
They
you're
just
holding it, if you're not using that fucking handle, of course they're gonna be hot.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. The tin ones, like they transfer heat too much, and the handle gets hot too. You can't use them.
I don't know what kind of like how hot you want your coffee, but damn. Look at that.
Well,
I still got the
you
one
make a
from
French press and it's like just under 200 degrees.
shit. Yeah, I still have
That's quick.
one from
That's
Black Rifle.
McDonald's coffee.
Yeah.
Dude, spill you make a mill.
Not
I do want
anymore.
to add one. I do want to add one thing to what LaFlash was talking about. Um, we during the planning of all this, um, one thing that we tried to emphasize was the fair competition aspect. Um, some of our competitors have had different situations where you could buy a certain amount of votes as a standard, and you just started at that baseline. We felt that that wasn't really fair because you're kind of purchasing a
It's
top
like that.
spot
Yeah, that sounds like
automatically.
buying views. Like I seen that on like TikTok. Like if I post fucking like POV when I'm where I'm driving in the country, it's like they try to find. It's like oh, you pay like $8-9, you get like 15,000 views. It's like that's no. I don't really care for that shit.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's exactly that. And we're trying to avoid that situation, right? We try to reward active units, actively trying to campaign for their new recruits and recruitment, things of that nature. And that's kind of where we landed on the vote multiplier, where it's not necessarily a automatic win card. You still need participation to make that work. But it does, enable different units to be able to see different returns from the different levels of vote multiplier that you subscribe to. And honestly, the vote multipliers, like you could argue one way or another, and you could have your opinions about them, but ultimately, every dollar that comes into Milsim units, I would say like 75 cents goes back out into the community just for advertising and awareness. So regardless of how we structure the tier plans or things like that, really every single dollar that comes into Milsim Units is going back out into the community, at least in a large fraction. So that being said, and with the fair competition in mind, like a 10-person unit on a tier one subscription could easily outperform a 100-person unit that is completely inactive. And that's kind of what we wanted, was the ones who really want it to be able to get out there and go get it. And I think that kind of fundamental vision was LaFlash's ultimate reasoning for wanting to create this platform in the first place.
Yeah, well said.
Right. Going off of subscriptions, like what tiers are there? Like, how many tiers are there? Like, and what do they bring? Like, what perks come to it if the unit was to say, hey, I want to be part of this tier, I'll pay this X amount of money for it.
Well, we have three tiers, and we stage them in a way that it's similar to like the military tier. So like tier one, military special forces and SEALs and all that. That's your best of your best. Delta, so our tier one's our best package, which includes obviously all the stuff from tiers 2 and 3. So starting with like our lowest tier, which obviously is like our embracing excellence. It's the smaller tier. It gets you things like we talked about the voting and how important that voting is daily. So we have a voting bot, Discord bot. Now it doesn't vote for you, but it does ping. You are able to, once you get this tier, all our tiers, you're able to install that into your Discord, and then set it up to automatically ping certain user groups, certain channels, to really remind and encourage your community, your Discord community, to go vote. And it pings daily. So it's set up that way, to help your community grow by reminding your own team, so that you, as that unit leader, commander, whoever, doesn't have to do that, right? You don't need to say, "Oh, go vote today, guys." It does it for you. And then obviously there's some other things on our tier 3, our unit insignia spotlight. So that takes, we have some scrolling banners across all of our game pages and things like that. So that's like a small logo, your logo of your unit patch or something like that, is showcased on the top of our website, in a small little scrolling wheel. You get things like our custom slugs, and our social media Discord pings. So that's one that I believe in pretty wholeheartedly, is
I was gonna,
social media
I was gonna say,
for
like, who's talking
for
about custom
for
slugs? Like, damn, we shooting things now.
No, no, custom slugs. That gives you your own custom URL. So now you're looking at like your URL being milsimunits.com/unit, and then your tags, third ID or seventh cav or whatever. So it makes it a more clean and crisp URL for your unit to go out there and then share that URL if you're doing recruitment posts with it, and so it doesn't just look like milsimunits.com/xv1-/74. It doesn't look stupid. So it kind of just gives you a little extra slug. Plus that slug is heavily corresponds into that voting bot for setup. So that's the first one. So that's one of our lower tiers. It still adds a good chunk of value. Definitely, like, whether you're a small unit just starting off and that's where you want to start, get you all the first initial perks. Our tier 2, kind of the exceptional among the elite, right? You're looking at obviously all the stuff out of tier 3. So you got that voting bot and all that. That's where you go into those vote multipliers that Jake was talking about. So you get a 2 times vote multiplier with tier 2. So every vote that happens to your profile counts as 2. So you click it once and your vote will go up by 2. And then you also, like I said, with the unit insignia spotlight, which is the smaller emblem on the top of the website. You also then get a medium sized that scrolls under I think our third ranked unit. So in between the third and the fourth, a your unit logo and a small description of your unit kind of scrolls through there. Again, just all about visibility. Here you can get tier two, and you're regardless if your unit has 0 votes today and you're way down on that list, your unit is at least featured somewhere after the third ranking, and it's a scrolling. So it's not it's eye catching, but yet still impactful. And then on top of the stuff that you get with tier three for social media, so those are things like your X, your Instagram. For social media, so those types of posts are automatically pinged on our Discord. When you get into tier two, you have our media Discord pings. So that's things like your TikTok, your Twitch, your YouTube videos. That will, again, trying to help those units that have a social media presence be able to market themselves and then get some instant eyes on that stuff that you just posted to hopefully help your algorithm to catch some stuff. And there's some things down the pipeline that I'm again brainstorming and have to bounce off Jake on how to really 10x the social media or just that in in comparison to what we can, I guess, what we can do with social media. But in comparison to how to 10x it, how to get units to interact with each other, to help each other when you think about that, and it's all tied back into Milsim units in terms of in that. But that's tier two. As I said, tier one's our max one, where you get all the perks of two and three. Your vote multiplier turns into a 3 times multiplier. So you go up every 3 votes every vote. A preferred status goes on your profile. It's a badge that basically just says Milsim Units recommends you, right? So that's kind of you get the badge saying, hey, your top tier unit, Milsim Units says come check us out. We have the media side, media affiliation of our own podcast, our interaction within social media. So like our tier one units, when they post on their socials, will to for sure try to comment, try to share, and just help that algorithm. We'll do our part a little bit more in terms of us interacting with that content to kind of help fuel it a little bit more. Um, and then with the new website now, for the longest time, our voting analytics and our unit streaming page were coming soon, and that's one of the perks of our new website that we finally got to. Each unit on tier one gets an analytics page attached right to their profile that the unit owner can see, and that tells you your trends, how many votes you've had throughout the time, a certain time period. So there's just a lot of different factors that go into your average vote, what your best rank was over that same time period, your voting trends, your rank history. And what I think is pretty cool is a comparison of similar units. So based on the size of your unit, whether you're a small, medium, large, or extra large, it ranks you among your peers. How are you doing? How are you stacking up against other, say, medium-sized units based on your daily voting throughout that certain time period, whatever you chose. So whether that's 7 days, 30 days, or 90 days, or all time. Um, and then the final perk there is the streaming page, which I'm excited for to get it out. But so it's right on our front of our website, or right on our top of our website. milsimunits.com/streams. It's one of the headers across, but any units that are tier one that have streaming personnel up to 5, they're able to add into their profile, and then it'll auto display those that are online streaming. So like right now, I'm looking. Call out to Reaper's Air Assault. He's currently streaming. And then SEAL Team 3 is currently streaming. And those show right up on our streaming page so that when people come to the website, they can see potentially some live action of a unit that they might be checking out, so they can see, because if they're streaming, whether it's on Twitch, YouTube, or Kick, those are the profiles that you can add into your unit page, which then stream or that launch live when you stream on our official streaming page. So I think that's pretty unique, and you don't see that around at all. And then again, you can dive right into that unit right there on that page. You can interact right there. If they're on Twitch, you can literally don't have to go to twitch.com. Sorry, Twitch, but you don't have to go to Twitch or sorry, twitch.tv to interact and type right to that person that's streaming. You know, you can do it right there. The API is decked right in. So Jake can probably talk more technical about that feature, as that's something that he customly built himself. But it was at least a brainchild of mine.
Sure. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, I guess I don't really have a lot to say about the implementation. If you go to milsimunits.com/streams, you'll kind of see it right in front of you. And I guess what we were kind of hoping for was a hub of locations where you could come in and easily find all of the Milsim streamers in one location. And if you wanted to watch one, it wouldn't take you out of context, right? Like you could go back and find another one, or like LaFlash said, if you're looking at a specific unit, you look for them on there, see if they're streaming. If they are, then you can like actually watch them play and hear their communications and kind of see what they're all about before ever getting involved. So um, I can't really take the credit for that one because, as LaFlash said, it was his brainchild. Just the implementation, I feel, is pretty straightforward. You want to see the stream itself, you want to see the information about the unit, and you want to be able to interact in real time. So those are kind of the requirements for that.
All right. Um, so when implementing these from start to now, like how long was it? Was it like something like 6 months, or and was it an easy
For the new
process to
website?
do? For the website, like the new features, was it like an easy, like pretty much it falls into everything falls into place, or were there hiccups to where like you think everything's going around and the next thing you know it all starts sparking and there's something on fire?
Well, since we initially launched the first website, as I said, in February of 24, we started the process. We knew that going in, the first version of the website wasn't the end result. That was more or less like um, the beta test, the first like is it possible? Is what we're doing possible to build, and it quickly
So,
learned, right? And we
so
got
pretty
we
much
got
like
lots of
a
feedback on
so
the
pretty
old
much like a
website.
proof of concept, really.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
that's
Yeah.
exactly the word that I was going to use. Yep, that's
Yeah.
it.
It was a good proof of concept. It wasn't UI designed to be the prettiest. It was designed to be functional and kind of get us to the point to where we were able to move into the subscription side and start bringing some income in to be able to get out there and market. As Jake said, he's not lying when there's in fact, there's zero profit being made on milsimunits.com for the last 2 years that the IRS knows about. No, I'm joking. That's reported. Um, so it's part of that to where we had to get to a point to where we then could free ourselves up, where I could free up Jake and be able to have him work on what that new website looks like. Because ultimately, all we did with the new website was build what we currently had on the old one, add in those two coming soon features, and then just made some extra tweaks along the way. There's nothing like feature wise besides those two that we listed on the initial build that we were working towards. Now there's a whole laundry list of stuff in my head and stuff that I've already thrown on Jake's radar on how to implement, how to build that's down the pipeline. But now there's no there's no rushing to get to that point, right? It's all right. Well, let's take it slow. Let's be methodical. Let's be smart about it, and that's where Jake is really good at. Is he's the true brains behind it. I might be the visionary, but he's the guy that knows how to get it done, right? It's a good relationship. Um, and sometimes we both need kicks in the asses to get our parts done. And it's a reminder here, and hey, don't forget that, and stuff like that. But as for the new website, we started that, I want to say, in just August. I want to say August, September of 2025. So the new
Yeah, I think
website came
September's
together
right.
pretty well, and I'll let Jake talk about how that process came about. We kind of, you know, the thought process, because it's a fully completely different built website. It's not just an upgrade. And we just polished the old website. It was a completely new build. And Jake, you can share some of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, I saw what worked on the first iteration, and I saw what didn't. There was a lot of community feedback, features that various units had requested. The ones that came in that were requested multiple times. Um, those ones obviously were given priority.
Can you give
Um,
us an
there
example?
are, yeah. So in the first iteration, the filter system was abysmal, and that's putting it lightly. The filter system it pretty much didn't work at all. It was just kind of a list fashion where you could scroll from top to bottom by votes. In the second iteration, the filter system is robust. And that kind of plays into what LaFlash was talking about at the beginning of the podcast, where, you know, a prospect comes in and they're looking for the unit that fits them individually. So we really wanted to make sure we nailed the filters into where you could type in exactly what you're looking for, time zone, nationality, language, region, the type of milsim that you prefer, things of that nature, the game, obviously. And it's going to give you a dialed in list. It's not going to be 1,000 units long like it would be if you were to click on browse units, right? That's a overarching list of everybody. It's going to be maybe a list of, uh, you know, 1 to 20 units that fit all your criteria, depending on which game you're looking at, right? But I would say that's probably the biggest example of user feedback. Um, like obviously the filter was always meant to be in place, but the different aspects of the filter and the things that people wanted to filter by, those would be great examples. I think time zone was the most requested. Various other couple ones I can't recall at this time, but definitely filtering features. We chose not to put a search on the browse units page because that allows for targeting of a specific unit, right? And any unit that's cascading for votes in their direction is going to be giving a direct URL in the first place, which is available from the unit management dashboard. So they can just copy and paste that and distribute it as needed. But an actual search where you're looking for a unit by name, that didn't really seem needed. That was requested, but it kind
Right.
of goes against the principles of what we're trying to accomplish. So just the filtering system is really what we wanted, and that enables us to still list every unit by effort, right? And I say effort, but what I mean is vote count.
Right.
Um, to me, those two things are the same, right? So if you really want to be featured on our platform, then you're going to put in the effort and go out and get those votes. But if you're happy where you're at, you might not necessarily put in the same amount of effort. And
Just
that's
like once every other
I
day,
hit it
just tell them to go vote and be right
right.
where you want to
I
be.
kind of hit on that earlier in this interview, and it was fair competition, right? So
I was
that's
actually
really like the different things. Like obviously we had the tier, we had those coming soon on our first iteration for like a year
every
and a
time I
half.
hear someone say like, "Oh, come soon," I get that flashback where you just like we're back in the days where like you watch his old movies and you hear "coming soon" to VHS or something.
Yeah, yeah. It was kind of like that because you felt like you had to wait forever. What actually ended up happening there was before we ever decided to build those features out in the first iteration, before we felt like we were in a place to really be able to offer those on a multitude of different insights. of why we should or should not offer those features at that point. We decided to really just kind of hone in what we had, and then during that process of honing in, it was like, well, if we're already rebuilding it, we might as well put that little bit of extra effort in and provide people what we promised them we're going to provide. So we really wanted to capture that and hit it out of the park. We didn't want to provide some half-ass feature that we promised 2 years ago. We really wanted to provide a solid quality feature that people would actually want to use and would serve a good purpose in the community.
All right. Um, Going to the subscriptions a little bit. Kind of want to touch base a little bit. Uh, what like you said was like 3 tiers, right?
Yeah, and we do got some tactical add-ons as well that
All right.
are more like the a la carte type stuff. So,
Okay. Uh, what what's the pricing looking like for each tier?
so low end for just monthly, you're looking at $8 a month for tier three, 15 for tier two, 25 for tier one, and that's just the monthly flat rate. You obviously get discounted throughout for annually. And actually, currently, right now, we are running a promotion that kind of corresponds with our new website launch to where it is 20% off for 3 months of of a subscription, any tier one, two, or three, that you get 20 months or 20% off each of those months, and we can post that code if we need to. But yeah, or to whoever, come find us. But that runs through. I guess what did I say? We got I think a week and a half left of that the being active. So it's just new MU20 is that code, but we can definitely post that for people that are interested to give it a shot. It's 20 bucks off, or I mean 20% off your first 3 months on Milsim Units,
That's kind of
and that's just a promotion with our website.
that was going to lead into my next question. Like, how often do you do sales? Like, say, hey, um, let's say we're doing a Black Friday sale on subscriptions, like tiers one, two, and three are X% off.
Yep. We don't do it too often. I mean, we generally like to, um, you know, I think this would be like our third time in the last 2 years of doing some type of promotion. Um, it's not necessarily, you know, uh, big focus. But of course, I mean, I know there is things that we're looking to partner with some like content creators and give like referral links to, and just be able to track some of that because I think that's big to be able to give some of that back, try it out. We've done some competitions in the past, like we're actually coming up on another one that we did last year, our best clip challenge, which will be hopefully end of February, early
Wasn't it the
March.
bracket thing I
For
saw going around?
Yep, that was
I
yeah,
remember
that was
that.
last year,
Yeah.
about February, about this time last year,
Who
to
won
where
that one? Was
the
that
the
one on
winner
one?
of the best, yeah, it was 105th or 101st 502nd, and they won I think it was 3 or 6 months free of tier one, and so that was for winning. So we like to do some of that, a little bit of the marketing side of things, and give away some free stuff. We've done our banners. I've given away some free banners as well, which I mentioned add-on perks or tactical add-ons. One of our biggest, I guess, marketing pieces of all our tiers. You have to be a subscription unit to add these on. So you could be a tier three, so pay $8 and be a tier three and get a unit, be able to buy a unit ad banner. So it's a featured banner. It advertises your unit in just one of the 6 slots allowed per game. So you can be very game specific. If you play Reforger, you could get your unit on the top slot of a rotating banner within Reforger. And then one of that also did, all slots are kind of that first come, first serve. They reset every 30 days. So the banner is good for 30 days when you buy or when you purchase it. And the newest feature, one of the new features that we put on the website. Now, this was something that was on our new. What we've done is that it randomly selects out of all the game banners, all the units that are on games that have a featured banner. It will pull randomly up to 4 of those units to be featured on the front page of the website, which obviously is the most heavy traffic part of the website, as people come in, and they're right on top as well, and that's kind of a perk of that, and really, you talk about visibility and exposure, and getting your name and unit logo and emblem and your info in front of eyes. That's going to be your biggest ROI, your biggest bang for your buck.
All right, going for pricing. Like, what tier does someone have to be to say if they want to be on the podcast? What tier would they need to be?
So we, as I mentioned, we do have our own Milsim Units podcast. It's been doing fairly well. In fact, we have an episode dropping either tomorrow or Sunday. I think that's episode 36 or 37. And so we've been running it for a few years now. I think last year we did 27 podcast episodes in 2025, and it's been very successful. One of the neat things that we do with it, obviously, we hold a podcast similar to this. It's just a sit-down conversation. We have some questions. Our host is one of our lead moderators with Brock, and he does an outstanding job. We provide questions in advance and let the teams prep to have a good showing of themselves, and they record that. We get some content in terms of like game footage from that unit itself, so that people, when listening to the podcast, if they're watching on YouTube, they can view kind of some of their combat operation stuff that they've done, maybe, or a recruitment video that they've done. We put that right into our podcast because it's just an audio file like this, right? And be able to post that each on average. I mean, they do fairly well. They get about 1,000 views each, and for a long form video like that, now we're
Well,
no
hold on, don't sell
big
yourself short
big
there.
on what,
I
not being
mean,
big.
no, I think our top performing podcast is almost 23,000 views. And
Yeah, we've
on
done some.
average, I would say they're doing about 3,000, 2 to 3,000. There are low performers, high performers, but
Yeah, there's
the
so
opportunity is
that's
there for massive exposure, I guess.
yeah. I mean, they've definitely taken off a lot. Like, I'm very humble in terms of, like, I'm able to um, see the numbers come in, and the cool part that we really do with those podcasts that really help. Like, that's just an episode. So somebody that's a tier 1 subscriber, they get an episode of that podcast. If they're with us for a year, we circle back and we want to do another episode. They're a long-term subscriber. We also want to be able to showcase what has changed in the last year. How did the last episode go? What's happened since the last episode that you were featured on? So we have some tier 1 units that are coming back around because obviously we just started a new year with 2026. So after we publish that episode, we then take it and we cut that episode up into 20, 30, 40 different short form. So shorts, TikToks, IG reels, things like that. And then those start getting posted, advertising those tier 1 units weekly on our social medias in short form. So those generally, as long as they're as long as they're a member of our subscription, we try to make sure that they have content coming out pretty regularly. Because again, they're paying for that service. We want to make sure that we're doing our part by showcasing them, getting them across, and those videos do very, very well throughout a large portion of what our, like, I guess we can just quickly talk on like what our 2025 numbers were, just with some of the view totals. And I know I posted a while ago, but we had like that 27 episodes. Of those 27 episodes, it was like 119, 120,000 views across those 27 episodes. Of those episodes, we then posted just under 1,800 shorts across all our social medias,
Yeah, actually, I remember
focusing
seeing
nothing
some of them.
on units, just focusing on those units, right? Um, and those in general, obviously, were a couple 100,000 views as well across everything. Now that's not just YouTube. That's YouTube, TikTok, IG, Facebook. All the tracking on how all those votes come in together. Or I mean, all those views come in together. So it was something that does pretty well. So it's a tier one perk, and only available in our tier one because there's a lot of, as you can see, all the stuff I just explained. There's a lot of labor side of it, right? And so that's a lot on our end to manage, from setting up recording to editing the video, to then taking that episode after we post it and cutting that up, and making the shorts and reels, posting those to all the social
But
media platforms. So there's some work on our end.
which one's your favorite, or can you not say?
Favorite episode?
Or
I mean,
favorite
we
episode,
featured the
favorite
third
interview?
ID. No. um, I don't know. As Jake said, we've done some of them. Some of those episodes have done extremely well. And just being able to get in there, learn. I personally haven't done many of the talking. I've been a part of a few of the episodes. Some of the cool episodes that we've done. Obviously, we love featuring and talking about the units. We've talked to several very prominent units out there. I won't name them because I don't want to assault somebody I don't name. But some very prominent units. We've had some guest speakers as well. Things like Giannis from Formify, who's a strong partner of ours. We work very closely with Milsim Units and Formify and PersComs, trying to create that central uh, um, starter pack, I guess you could say, a starter pack for Milsim. We've then also had great conversation, and had people like Karmacut on the podcast, to where we talked about, obviously, his new game Bellum. We've also, with Karmacut, we're partnered with Barton, which owns AWN, which is a server provider company, and Barton's also a partner within Bellum. So that was a pretty cool. I personally did that one. We've had an episode with the voice actors that played some of the iconic Arma people. So you're looking at like Jim High, who was a British actor from Prague. He was in Arma 2 and Arma 3, and he voiced the main character within the British Op DLC. We also then had people like um, Michael Pitnam, who was he's a voice actor from the UK. He portrayed Captain Miller in the campaign of Arma 3. So you're looking at Captain Miller within Arma 3, which is iconic in itself. And that's just what they did
that
within
that name does
Arma.
sound familiar.
So, oh yeah, there's a whole. Yeah, if you ever played the campaign of Arma 3, he's the main character of it, or I shouldn't say main, one of the main characters of it. But those voice actors also, that was just their Arma side of things. They were also in Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 and 2. They were both in Stalker 2 as voice actors, and in fact, they were just nominated um, because if you, I know like. Um, Michael Pitton, which plays Captain Miller, he's also the voice of Lord Radsick in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. You then have Jim High, who's also in Kingdom Come, but played Barno or Kuno, I think, right? And Eric
I say only if someone
within
played
a Kingdom.
Bono. Bono would be real
So
pissed off about that.
yeah. No, yeah. Barno Kuno, I think, is the character's name. But then they did lots. And that was a pretty cool interview. Being able to talk about like how does voice acting play into Milsim games and things like that.
Like
So
how many
we've had a
takes do
fair
you need to
share.
do?
Yeah, yeah, that was part of the episode.
I would.
And we've had a couple episodes like that to where we featured a company or a voice actor or stuff like that. So it was pretty cool.
I would actually like to see like gaming companies that make, say, Bohemia is making Arma 4 right now. I would love to see them just drop like blooper reels of like voice actors just No, it'd be funny to do it in line and just say something all fucked up and shit. Just because let's be honest, everyone loves a good blooper reel. But
Yeah, like maybe they put them at the end of the campaign or something. That'd be pretty funny.
campaign,
That's
the
funny.
fucking credits are rolling and you just see a bunch of random shit. Uh,
Yeah, like a '90s movie where they put them in at the credits.
yeah, like Rush
I think
Hour
that'd be
or
great.
fucking. I know Halo.
Yeah.
One of the like, I forget which
Ain't
development.
nobody understand the words coming out of your mouth.
Fuck, I remember watching one of the ah, Vidoc videos from Halo 2, Halo 3, and like they'll post like clips like behind the scenes. You'll hear some funny shit. So
Yes.
going to like as you explained, Milsim Units being a multi-game platform. What are the games that are on your platform? Like I know besides Reforger, because that's a clear, obvious one.
Oh boy. So we actually starting with like the newest. It's actually pretty unique. We don't just add every single milsim style FPS shooter, as I mentioned, like Fortnite's an FPS-ish game, BattleBit and things like that. We do have a request system on our Discord to request certain games, and then it's kind of voted by the community as they see that channel if they think it's worthy. So I've added a few games based on those reviews. I've added a couple games in having actual development teams, so dev teams from certain games come ask, saying, "Hey, how do we get on your website?" They see the value in showcasing, getting their game on there so that it's in front of units as well as people looking for that game. So we've had a couple there. Um, but I'll tell you the true way that when I initially came up with the first, I think we added 15 or 20 games when we launched the website at first. Literally just looked at top games of 2020, whatever year it was, for Milsim or for FPS, and then kind of said, yeah, there's a community behind that plays in a tactical, structured way. That has, of course, I have my background in the Arma series, understanding that both of those, Reforger was just coming out. It wasn't even on the website at first, and then we have Squad and Ground Branch, are two games that we utilize. Um, each having a good chunk of units. Like the way that our games page also is pretty unique. Lists the most in order the most games. I mean the most units in those games. So like Reforger, reason that it's first on the list is because out of all the units on the platform, there is 300 plus 350, I think like 370 units that say they play Reforger. That's on our platform, and then it kind of just goes down from there. So we have a wide variety. I can go off and list them all, but hopefully you go check it out, milsimunits.com/games, and hopefully find one that's out there that's good for you. We have a few out that are coming soon. I mentioned it earlier with Karma Cut's game Bellum. Play Bellum. That's a good one. That is
Isn't that
currently
the World War
in.
One game?
That's Verheyen. No,
Uh,
Bellum
Bellum.
is an FPS. Yeah, Bellum.
Yeah, I could have sworn that was
So
World War One or something.
Verdun, I think you're thinking of, and
Ah,
that's
okay.
on there, and obviously not a lot of people. There's some games that don't have barely any units on there that probably won't make the cut once we go through and start, looking at like what games truly should be on. Um, like you mentioned Verdun, that was added on there. There's I think one unit on there that says they play it, right? So next phase of this, I would say, is going through and seeing what games are out there that we can advertise for. But I do feel there's some room for growth for us to adopt or bring in people that are like quote unquote game captains that kind of help grow each game a little bit. That means get out there and help recruit communities into it so that we can turn around and advertise specifically for that game. So when somebody, pick on Verdun, which only has one unit on it right now on our website, turn around, and so when somebody Googles, Verdun game or Verdun servers or something like that, Milsim Units pops up, right? So get into that search engine optimization, SEO searches, and stuff like that. But really, I mean, you think about it, like Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3 is on our website. That was from 2023. They've launched a new Call of Duty since then. But uh, what kind of truly like milsim communities are on there? Do we mold a little bit, or do we stick straightly to new things that are in there? Like we just put 83. That was a developer request to come on, and it's a game that is coming out in 2026, I think here. So it has the coming soon, and so there's a lot of possibility with that game. Definitely when we have the gaming studio involved in helping market some of that, and we tag along with that marketing to an extent to where, hey, come play 83. These are the units that play it that you can get a community. Because anybody that's ever played Arma would not be where it is right now because Arma's the best game out there in the world. It surely has its opportunities. A great game, but it surely has its opportunities. And what's really fueled that game throughout the last 2 decades of its life is the communities that play it, right? And then the modding community that fuels it forward. And a lot of these games that come on, we were talking off air a little bit. Battlefield 6, right? Came in hot. Where is it nowadays, right? It's just not to the extent that it used to be on its launch. And all games, I call it the J hook. All games have that J hook, right? It starts up high and then plummets and then kind of grows that back up. So all
Yeah,
games
I don't
have
even
that
think
cycle.
the latest. I don't even think the latest Black Ops it was at because
Yeah,
it was like you had more in BF6 from the start than you had with Black Ops, and it's like I even watched the fucking trailer. I'm looking at it, it's like growing up playing Call of Duty, like playing the good Black Ops, like Black Ops 2, the first Black Ops, even
yeah,
3. Like seeing this, let's just call it at face value, this heaping pile of garbage that's someone lit on fire. It's like it's no wonder fucking Battlefield 6 did so well at launch, and now I don't even think they needed to add RedSec. I mean, everyone wants like, oh, we want a Battlefield Battle Royale. It's like, yeah, they did that during BF5. They didn't really
yeah.
take off too well. I don't know what relaunching is like. Yeah, it's cool to go shoot shit in Cali, but it's like I don't know. But we do have a question from the chat. If you guys have a second,
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, any chat
um,
questions, good.
so you may have already explained this, but a guy asked, how do you prioritize feature requests when every unit wants something different?
That's not an easy one. We do have obviously some of our beta testers that helped us when the launch. We had a feature request area. Ideally, similar to how we kind of do at a game, right? Units are going to tell us over time what would benefit all size units, right? So Jake mentioned it earlier that big units request certain things that will help them specifically, but not maybe a small or medium size unit. So we kind of utilize that. The feedback that comes in, we have a feedback channel that every unit leader that comes in to the Discord and gets their perms and stuff like that, we literally ping it in that message saying, hey, we want feedback from you. What do you see? And that's really what got us to where we're at right now is some of that feedback. But prioritizing feature requests, it's really by masses, right? If it's important to many, it's definitely making our radar, and we'll see the viability of what that looks like. But I have a lot of features. Like I'm a milsim guy, right? That's the best part about this, and I have the decades of running a milsim, and it's just literally feature requests that what would have helped me along in the last 20 years of running my unit. And it all comes down to exposure, that visibility, the voting, so that our units can be a little higher on that platform listing, and just get more eyes on our unit. because we feel confident as a unit owner now, we feel confident in what we provide, right? The structure, the history, the operational tempo that we have. And if units feel good about what they have and they just need that extra visibility, that's what we're here to do. We can't fix your structure. We can't fix a poorly run unit, and stuff like that. We're not we're not gods when it comes to that. Units, unfortunately, it's very, very unfortunate, but units are very motivated when they start and they flame out real, real quick sometimes. And we see it with just unit profiles. Somebody starts a unit profile and that unit profile is unpublished within 2 weeks. And so it's part of those that it's for those long-term people trying to help prioritize those features that would help people down the road as well.
I'll add on to that too. You kind of hit on this, LaFlash, but with the feedback specifically, so we take it objectively, right? So if it's something that would help out everybody, it's kind of a no-brainer. We kind of add it to our backlog, and if it's something that we feel, so I guess I should backpedal a little bit. We go over every single piece of feedback and suggestion one on one between me and LaFlash, and we kind of talk it over, mull it over, see if it would be giving an unfair advantage to any parties involved. And if it is, we kind of table it. We just we let it be. We don't say yes or no. We'll think about it, and we'll just gather more community feedback about it. If it gets to a point where it becomes like a critical mass, where it's being requested from, multiple different units across the spectrum, we're probably going to implement it. But, if it's something that comes up and it's like, I see this giving so and so an edge here, then it's probably just going to remain there on the backlog for a minute until we hear otherwise or more feedback on it. And then, like I said, the universally accepted things that would help units, those are the kind of things that we try to focus on, and not so much specific requests to fit a specific unit's needs.
I was,
100%.
I was talking on mute for a second. Yeah, someone was. I was about to ask you. Someone was also asking for what was the promo code.
Hell yeah, use it.
Um. Oh, oh shit, we're actually over an hour right now.
Yeah, time flies. Time flies.
Pretty much. So, what? Like, I guess one of the last questions I got is there anything coming up like in the future, like near future, or something that you would like to implement later on down the road for Milsim units? Like, can we get like
Oh boy.
little teases or
Well,
something?
let me pull out my entire my game plan here.
Man, being like fucking blazing
Jake
saddles.
probably has it flagged has it flagged somewhere because there's a like I said it's true when I have an idea that pops
It's
in my head that
it's actually pinned in our DMs if you want to find
is
it.
it all right. Hey, there it is. All right, feature one of 752. Okay. No. So some of the things that thinking about, and I have a unit to think of this, that came to being asked and kind of put this bug in my head, about server providers, right? As a unit owner, we're always looking for a server provider that we can trust. So that's something that comes in, so a unit, basically this would be like a server provider directory or integration type system on our website to where we could have a list of unit providers, so server companies that support the games that we have. Maybe not all of them, but most of them. And if they have dedicated boxes, then that covers the majority. But being able to have a directory that units would be able to say, hey, I use this unit provider or this server provider. I'm thinking since we're partnered pretty good with AWN, we'll pick AWN right now. So AWN has their profile on our website or their area on our website that they're the server provider. And then on the unit profiles, units would be able to select who their provider is that they currently use. Because I think the other part of that is that trust. trust, right? It positions Milsim units as that trusted middle layer between the units that are looking and those providers. And then we're also building that trust and transparency with both. Because if you see somebody that you look on AWN's area or their little blurb and it says 72 units use this provider, you're going to assume as a unit provider that or as a unit that provider is pretty solid if 70 some units say they use them, right? So it's more along those lines of like being able to work one-on-one with providers, and that's going to be difficult on our end. Some of those server hosting companies are massive conglomerates, thinking like OVH, thinking like Amazon or AWS or stuff like that, to where we're going to work hard to try to work one-on-one with these server providers to provide some sort of discount as well to Milsim units to those that are on our platform, so that we can then focus on like a switch and save type mentality. Like, find a provider that has credible and good hardware and good servers and good boxes that's obviously trusted by an X amount of units. I think it would be beneficial to have that on our platform. So that's one thing. That's a very high level, very rough aspect of it. I know I spelled it out pretty good when talking to Jake on it, but that's kind of the high level. It creates that business to business partnership, but then also introduces like a scalable section of the website that we can trust our trust provider. And that's always big. I could tell you through the third ID and my time as a Unix commander, we've switched providers probably a dozen times throughout the 20 years, right? Because you're always looking for that next one that has a good deal, but good quality hardware, that your server's not going to crash, not going to lag, that has good tech support that can help you when you have issues. And I think it's going to speak volumes um, to a provider that's listed that has 100 some units that use them, because that's just a built-in trust system that, okay, these units think it's good enough, let's go check them out. Oh, and guess what, because you're on milsimunits.com, you get 10 or 15 whatever percent off of it for partnering and switching with that. So I think there's a little bit of give and play there.
All right. Uh, Last question I got. Is there anything else like you guys would like to like address within like Milsim Units, or anyone that's like curious about uh, setting up shop?
Yeah. Well, first, I guess if you're ever thinking of creating a profile, again, we talked subscription and the monetization side of how we go to market, but at the end of the day, it's still a free platform. If you want it to be a free platform, I want to make sure that's 100% understood. Free to start a profile, free to fill out your information, free to vote, and really, it's built for you starting your unit. Um, the subscription just helps on a lot of those perks and a lot of those how to put your money kind of where your mouth and effort are and stuff. But that's not the main focus of the website. It's about helping those communities grow, helping our civilians, as I call them, the people looking, find a forever group, because we've all been there. We've all joined a game and think, oh, this game could be so much better if I had somebody to play with. And that's kind of the question and gap we're trying to fill. Um, and it's so if you're thinking of it, please head to milsimunits.com. We have a tutorial video of showing you how to build your profile to the best of its ability. We do have a breakdown video of those subs if subscription process if you want to know what you're getting, and examples of what that looks like. One of the future website things that we'll be adding is a testimonial, like units that have told us that, hey, we got X amount of recruits this month, and X amount told us that they found us through Milsim units. Like I get that type of conversation almost weekly from a unit telling me, oh yeah, we got another one. Oh, we got like 6 yesterday that said they found us through milsimunits.com. and that's like golden. That's great, because that's the whole purpose of the website. Like fundamentally, number one, get people to go find your unit. Um, so it's been very humbling the last 2 years. I'm very, very humbled in how the platform's been perceived, how it's been utilized, how it's been supported by the community just in general. um, Being able to, I remember the first few days, or the first few months I should say, of starting the website. It was begging and clawing and knocking on every Discord out there that had a unit, saying, hey, we just started this thing, please go sign your unit up, please, please, please go sign your unit up. You wouldn't believe how many ghosts, how many times I was just ignored, people that wouldn't give us lighted time of day. And that was like the first few months. So as brand new, like, you're very hyped up about the passion and that you have for the project, and then obviously that kind of stuff happened. But then it just started trickling in, right? We get a few, we talk to some people, we have some meetings. I had meetings scheduled throughout weeks and weeks of just talking with unit leadership and saying, hey, it's free, come show up, this is our vision, selling the vision to every conversation I had. So I thank those units that jumped on right away with us, because they were the founding fathers to kind of to spawn what we currently have. And then sooner or later I didn't have to go door to door and start asking, just the word of mouth. And I mean, within our first year, I think we had 400 units on the platform. As I mentioned, we just are about to breach that 1,000 at the end of our second year. And it's very humbling that the community trusts our platform, utilizes our platform, and understands like what our end goal is, what our mission is. And it's great to be a part of it and fuel that along.
All right. Well, gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you guys. Again, I know you guys have busy days. You're busy, what evening, I guess you could say now. But we appreciate you guys taking your time out of your day to sit with us and have this discussion. Um, and really, can't thank you guys enough for taking time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks
Likewise,
for
man.
having us on. Thanks for having us on.
All right. Folks, if you're just now joining the stream or tuning in and whatnot, and you missed like the big chunk of it, we will have the stream up within like an hour or two um, on YouTube. Once we have it on YouTube, we'll post it, post a link. We'll make sure to tag Milsim Units. If you're interested in joining the Milsim Units platform, we will include a link in the description. That way, all you have to do is click it, go from there. Should be easy peasy. Um, if you guys are following us from yesterday, we still have streams going into the weekend. Saturday is a double header at 1700. We will start off the evening by interviewing Ford Observation Group. They, as far as I know, they are a armor unit. Then those of you who've been kind of waiting for this, at 1900, we will be doing our uh, stream with Keegs and Coke, where we just sit around and shoot the shit about what's going on in the Battlefield community side of the house. So make sure to set your watch to 1900 tomorrow, or if you're interested in the Ford Observation Group, it'll be at again 1700. This is all Central Standard Time. But anywho, it's been a blast talking to you gentlemen. And folks, stay tuned, stay sharp, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.